Hey everyone, it's Justin here, and today is week 5 of Road to CPU Nationals 2017. And today was an interesting day. I spent the day volunteering at the college and university meet at Seneca College in Markham. Today was the unsanctioned meet, and I was a scorekeeper. So I had a long day of powerlifting today, and after experiencing today, I have a lot to take in and take back regarding my training and competing. Because today I thought it was interesting. It seemed like there were good lifters at the meet who performed well, did what they needed to do, and succeeded. And there were other lifters who I guess had some silly errors and didn't achieve what they wanted. For example, not putting in your attempt cards within a minute and then timing out and then having to bump up by 5 pounds only. I know that because I was a timekeeper. So yeah, I saw that a lot. And just missing lifts because of not listening to commands, like not listening to a rack command or whatever. So after experiencing that and seeing that, it made me think about what would I do if I was in that situation where things just didn't go according to plan. And that's what I want to talk about this week, when the mentality that you have and the approach that you take towards your training and competing can be very different between people. And I'm going to talk about my experience, about what I used to think about, and how I think about training and competing now. So, to really turn back the clock a couple of years, I used to be really rigid with my training, saying that I need to lift this on a certain day if I want to lift that on meet day. Being really black or white, one or zero in terms of what you think you need to do to achieve a certain goal. And that kind of thinking was a little bit destructive, I would say, because I would always force myself to do what I had written a couple weeks ago, not taking into account how my body would feel day to day. So that led to a destructive path of training where I would get injured quite frequently and ultimately hinder my progress. So the point that I'm trying to make is that you should be more adaptable with your training and expectations when it comes to competing. So, for instance, in the way I think about things now is I'll have my program laid out for me, but I'll always understand that there are such things as off days and days that you just won't perform up to standard, and that's okay. But what you need to understand is that you can still salvage things out of these workouts, and you need to check your ego at the door and do what you need to do and hit what you can on that day and take what you can from that session. And I think maybe some lifters can relate in that they had that rigid mentality where you had to hit a 5x5 at 405 squat if you to be on track for hitting a 500 squat in 8 weeks at your meet. You know, putting that kind of pressure on yourself to think that you need to hit that number today in order to hit that number 8 weeks from now. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. The issue is that putting yourself under that unnecessary pressure, I find, can be really be really taxing, I guess, on yourself and what you and how you approach your goals. So, in like to parallel that as well, your expectations when you're competing can also drive your training, just like how I mentioned. Like, for example, if you want to hit that 500-pound squat and letting that dictate how you do your meet without really understanding the meet day variables of like timing, equipment room, how you feel that day, how you rested, how you slept, how you ate. There's so many different variables that you really have. Some you really don't have control over, some you do, but it could all ultimately play into how you feel and how you perform on that day. So you shouldn't always get caught up on on the way you want, on the way, like on the numbers that you really, really want. One example of that was today. I saw this guy. He hit like a 465 deadlift, and he was thinking about what he wanted for his third. And I was overhearing him and his handler talking about, oh, are you gonna go eagle lifting, or are you gonna take what you have this day? And from what I saw, it was up to the lifter, and he put on 500 and he missed the lift. You know, your next meet is never your last meet. God forbidding. I don't know, but what I mean by that is that don't put too much pressure on yourself in terms of performing in one particular meet, because it's a process. Your lifting career isn't defined by one meet. There are many, 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 many meets coming up. For me, that might even be hard to do because I'm competing at nationals. It's probably going to be the biggest meet of my life. I've done nationals before, but now I feel like I'm much more prepared. And even that, even after explaining what I just explained, it can be hard for me to understand that this is still just one meet. Good or bad, I'm going to be in the gym the next week, and I'm going to be lifting, and I'm going to be preparing for my next meet after that. So I can't get too caught up on how I do in one certain meet and let it drive me crazy, let it make me make poor planning decisions for my training. And it kind of relates back to, you know, chasing your competitors, or letting other people influence how you train, or training emotionally and not sticking to the process. All of that ties in on how your mentality should be, how your mentality should be driving your training and competition. So I thought it was really interesting today, especially at the meet, because from what I saw, people were choosing like I remember seeing a whole list of reds, a whole column of reds on third attempt. I think deadlifts for one of these sessions, and it made me think. Are they lifting because of the numbers they want, or the numbers that they're capable of? Obviously, these lifters may not be as experienced, but I feel like, there's the sooner you can change your mentality, the better. Um, but yeah, in summary, I think just having that rigid mindset on what you on your expectations in terms of your day-to-day training, your your training in your blocks, and your expectation for the meets, your performance in the meets, being really rigid on that can be destructive, I would argue. I mean, for some people it may work. I'm not going to say it won't work for everyone. But from my experience, I would always try to keep it, you know, keep it kind of cool, I guess, in terms of how you approach things day to day, because it's never the end. Your next meet is never the end, and there will always be another one. So I hope you thought this video was good, and I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.